Now we've talked about the analog inputs right here. I want to talk about using analog out, okay? And so what we're going to be working on is a process called PWM, and you can see that we can use it. You see the PWM here, and you see the little squiggly, and so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pins that are dedicated to PWM. And PWM is basically the way that we can do analog outputs using the Arduino. Okay, so remember we can turn LEDs on or off. Okay, and so we have the digital output. So digital output in which we can turn LEDs on or off. Okay, similarly we have digital input where we can send whether something's on or off. We have the analog input where we can determine any value of something between 0 and 5 volts, or it divides it up to 1024, okay? But for analog input, or for analog output, we can't break up the values. The Arduino isn't able to divide. It can only output 5 volts or 0 volts. Okay, so it can't do any values in between. But in some cases we can simulate that using this process called PWM, which basically turns something on and off like really fast. Okay, and when you're switching something on and off really fast, the amount of time you leave it on in between is going to be like kind of like the percent that it's turned on. Okay, and so with analog output, we can take the 5 volt and we can divide it anywhere between 0 and 255. Okay, and 0 means that it's just always off. 255 means it's always on. And any number in between is some variation in between where it's switching on for a short amount of time, or it's switching on for, if it's closer to 255, it'll like switch on for a longer period of time. Okay, and so if you use this to control an LED, if you have a value close to 0 like this, where it's turned on for short and then off for a little bit, then this is going to look really dim. And if you have something close to like this, it'll look brighter. Okay, and so this is when you use the function AnalogWrite, which is what I'm going to introduce now, then this is what's happening. And so you can control brightness of LEDs, but it's technically not analog because it's only between 0 and 5 volts. It can only be 0 or 5 volts. It's not some value in between like we could do with the analog inputs. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a try. Okay, so if we want to use this, let's see. Remember, we can only use these 6 pins, so we'll use for this one pin 11. So we'll say, okay, int analog, let's say LED. We'll change the LED to pin 11. Okay, and then this one will be LED brightness, and we'll set this to 100. Okay, I'm going to say control brightness with a value between 0 and 255. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to set LED to it as an output, okay, which we do right there. And the next thing is we're going to here use AnalogWrite, okay, and we're going to write pin with the LED, and we're going to set it to the value of LED brightness. Okay, and if you want to, you can have some like code here, add code here to modify value of LED brightness, so you can control how bright it is. And then this is where you use PWM to control LED brightness. Okay, so there are other things that use PWM as well, and we'll discover them as we go along, but we call it AnalogWrite. Technically, it's not AnalogWrite, but it is similar. Okay, but it can get the job done. Okay,